Okay, so if you don't know, ArtStation has been having a massive protest going on their website where people are posting no AI images on their website, just AI with the cancel sign over it, and telling ArtStation, no, we don't want AI art on the ArtStation. We don't want our art being able to be used for AI, and we want it to be explicitly against the terms of service to do this. And ArtStation hasn't obliged. Now, I can pull this up for you real quick. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is just the trending page on ArtStation. This is the trending page. This is the 2D tab. Almost all of it is no AI art. You're not listening. We do not consent. Turn theft off by default. Nobody should be having their art stolen by an AI by default. And every time that you click one of these, you're going to be seeing a bunch of comments talking about how this is just, all in all, bad for ArtStation. Now, there's really only one AI that, one web crawler that is responsible for this. One data set type thing that's responsible for this. For that matter, it's even only made by one dev. Now, this is Image2 dataset. It is available on GitHub for free. You can get it for free on GitHub, and its entire thing is to go through everything and convert any image into a dataset to be used by machine learning. Now, the interesting thing about Image2 dataset is that, we've got this, which they closed a couple hours ago. Well, actually, not a couple hours ago, just like an hour ago. And there was a suggestion 3 weeks ago to respect no AI and no image AI directives when downloading image files by default. Now, if you go all the way down to this thread, Steelcase and everyone else is basically just like, yeah, no, this is not even good. You're going to be breaking the law if you do this. And Rom himself, the guy who's making this, has been like, yeah, we talked to this guy and we agreed to document it and README to inform image to dataset users that they can turn on the setting to ignore the directive. But by default, it will not it will not pay attention to this directive. It's going to ignore it. It's just going to download everything and put it into a dataset. Respect robot directives by default. Currently, it does not honor no follow, no index, no AI, and no image AI by default. And that actually does go against the terms of use for Common Crawl, which is the exact dataset that all Leon datasets are based on, and one of the most popular datasets used with this tool. Now, what is really going on here is this is used by default, and nobody who uses this is actually going to be configuring the thing. They just want it to run, set it up, get it to sample images, and throw it into an AI image generator. And that's how this thing has been using. So all these directives that ArtStation and DeviantArt have enabled on their website, the no follow, no index, no AI, no image AI, all these directive tags are ignored by Image2 dataset by default. Now, if we go through his README on pi.org, I'm speaking as somebody who's used utilities like this, their command line and before. Most people are going to skim through this. And all the way down at the bottom is disallowed header directives, which is the list of X robots tags header directives that, if present in an HTTP response when downloading an image, will cause that image to be excluded from the output dataset. For example, no AI, no index. By default, it's none. Now, this is a massive issue. That's because when you are downloading this thing, you can probably be setting this thing up a ton of times and never once know exactly which things are going to be put in there. He's only providing 2 examples of header tags to put in there if you're going to disallow the AI from if you're going to disallow this crawler from downloading that image. And by default, it does not. I would urge you to email this man later and let him know, hey, there's a bunch of header directives that you need to put in here because there's a high likelihood of people using this thing and just going off of what they remember and not bothering to RTFM. Because, listen, I know a lot of fucking Jerrys. There's a lot of people who don't fucking RTFM. There's a lot of fucking game devs that don't RTFM and wonder why the fuck their shit doesn't work when they're quite literally doing shit wrong. I mean, there's no real excuse for not putting header directives into this. There really isn't a single excuse to do this, aside from being a dick. The way that this is used is against the Common Crawl dataset that this is based off of. Common Crawl doesn't care for any sort of directive tags. They don't care because they don't even know that their data is going to be used for AI purposes. Whereas this project is documented as being explicitly made for AI and machine learning purposes. For that matter, if we look at Rom's thing, I'll open that up in a second because, I mean, like, there's no way that I can look at this without doxing him. So I'm going to leave that for the end. We've gone through it. I even left a comment saying, listen, it would be a good idea to pay attention to this, because making the active decision to actively ignore X robot tags by default is showing a level of legal negligence, and it puts liability in your hands as the developer. And because you're the person in charge of this project, you're the person that is the head of this project, it is 100% on your hands. So that means that if anyone wants to sue, well, they can just go to GitHub, they can grab this developer's name, and they can sue him. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you. And he actually went and he's like, hey, listen, I don't give a shit. Go troll on Reddit or social media. This ain't a place for it. I'll think about this problem. There's no need to try and threaten me. It wasn't a threat. I was just letting him, hey, no. The fact that you're doing this opens you up to liability. Artists can literally band together as a class and sue this one singular guy in a class action lawsuit that would be guaranteed to win. Like, Collectus as a class could absolutely outfund this one fucking Google developer. And he, like, right after posting this reply, closed it and then marked it as complete. He was like, yeah, I'll think about it. No. As a reminder, it's already possible for any user to filter out these tags, as documented here, and also here. Which, funny thing, is that it's not set up like that by default. Most people who have their AI set they're based off of this probably don't even remember that they used this. That said, I am willing to speak to some Stable Diffusion devs, see if they are using Image2 AI, speak to Midjourney devs, see if they're using Image2 AI, and see if they are actually aware that these tags exist and if they're using them, which would be a very interesting thing. Because if they are not using them, or if they didn't even know that these tags existed for the program, that means that they have a database that is based off of stolen intellectual property, which is a very massive issue, especially considering that just a while ago, we had the whole debacle where Stable Diffusion's dataset was shown to have compromised medical information, confidential medical information that wasn't actually freely available on the internet. Stable Diffusion itself actually compromised a few people's medical documentation, which was very fucking bad. And being that they likely use Image2 dataset, I would be willing to bet that this was part of how that happened. Now, there's a million things that I can do. There's a million things I can't do. But here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do for you. All right? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you who to look at. I'm going to show you who to email. And this is where to direct your lawsuits at. Believe it or not. Because this is the guy who is in charge of the entire project. The entirety of the ethics of AI art rests in this one guy's hands. And he wants the ethics to be bad. So here is the GitHub profile for this guy. I'm not technically doxing him. He's doxing himself because this is just something that's freely available. A quick Google search can show you that you are able to find which algorithms are being used to create these AI datasets, and most of them will point you to this exact GitHub project. So this is who you direct your lawsuits to. This is where you email him, and that's his website, which includes his Twitter. His name is Romain Beaumont. He works at Google in Paris, supposedly, and his entire thing is that he's really into machine learning. He doesn't care about the ethics of it, however, as he's shown with his actions. So the only way to deal with this is to send him cease and desists. Quite frankly, as much as I'm not really one to say that you should go and picket him and shit, honestly, just protest him. Because all these big fucking websites, they're not going to do anything. They're going to do the absolute bare minimum to prevent themselves from being liable, which is to allow you to tag your art as no AI. And when we look through DeviantArt, like, after they added that, almost half of it was instantaneously tagged as no AI by the artists. So we know that shit's going on. We know that the shit's not that there's art in this dataset that's not supposed to be there. So this is where you are going to be sending your complaints to romain.rom1@gmail.com. You can actually report this project by going to block or report, hit report abuse, and you're going to go down to I want to report harmful code, malware, phishing, or cryptocurrency abuse. And you're going to go down to I want to report another type of malicious code. And this is because the type of malicious code that is here is the type that harms your copyright, your trademark. That is the type that infringes on your rights as an artist. And you will put all of that information as to art that you believe is in the database down in here. The way that it is copyrighted in here. And why it should not be in that database in here. And why this code is harmful in here. And GitHub will read through it. All of his links are right here, all right? And you can send all of your stuff to all of this. He even shows his Twitter right here, and he's like really like trying to flaunt his stuff. It's really stupid. Big Man thinks he's a Giga Chad because he thinks that because he owns the project, he's immune to being sued because he's got like this online persona, but he's completely forgotten the basics of having an online persona. Don't use your real fucking name or where you work. Report the project. Send your emails to him. If you have any sort of cease and desist, if you have any sort of legal recourse that you want to pursue, you are going to email it to him at romain.rom1@gmail.com. And that's all I can really give you, because the only other thing he tells you is that he works at Google and he is located in Paris.